you bloody going? Good, thanks. Frickin' 5-minute fundamentals. Let's go. Today I want to talk about theory, practice, and water parameters, hatching and stuff of Artemia. Explain a little bit about it, the history of brine shrimp briefly, while I've been in the industry and so forth. Okay, so first of all, the reason I'm doing this is because the awesome person people that everyone know, and just the legends from Aqua Premium, Chris and Noriko and all the guys, have sent me to try out the JBL Artemo 1. Okay, along with this, Chris has graciously sent not only the collection cup, but also the set of 4 sieves, which I'll be using for harvesting the brine shrimp, removing the cysts, so on and so forth as well. I'm going to do some, this is so handy for like the other live feeds as well as frozen food and stuff. He even sent me along not only the check valve and the air line, but also an air pump to run it. And I've gone and bought some Artemia eggs, brine shrimp eggs. So, we're going to be hatching those out in a series of videos. But I wanted to go through my process, okay? So, in general, Artemia cysts these days are a lot less robust than they were, say, 10 or 15 years ago, maybe even more. Even sort of 5 or 6 years after I started in the industry, they started to have problems with the quality of the cysts, and this was because of low water, rainfall, pollution in the Great Salt Lake. I'm just talking about GSL cysts here, Great Salt Lake cysts from the Great Salt Lake in Utah. But generally speaking, Artemia cysts in general, just, yeah, very reliant on water quality. So this means that the cysts were not as great at hatching, they had a lower hatch rate, or they were very much particular to water parameters. So full strength seawater, considering that the Great Salt Lake is anywhere between 30 to 260 parts per thousand or something ridiculous like this, use full strength seawater and use a full strength seawater salt mix, providing alkalinity and everything, or get water from the ocean. In both cases, you need to sterilize it. Okay, so adding 2 to 4 parts per million of chlorine to the hatching water is recommended, and then you can aerate to get rid of it, use sodium thiosulfate or water dechlorinated, whatever it might be. You may choose to just use RO water and then add synthetic sea salt to it. That would be okay, but not totally biosecure. Hatcheries will have their own protocols, okay? Then when you're putting the Artemia cysts in, you want to hydrate the cysts. So that's usually done for about an hour in 5 to 15 parts per million of chlorine with very strong aeration. Now that will dissolve into the water, and then you can rinse them off and put them into the hatcher. So using this full strength seawater is obviously important. You need to make sure that you're also maintaining pH and temperature. Okay, so keep it above 20 degrees, currently ideally 25 to 30 degrees. You should then start to see hatching within 18 to 20 hours for your first hatch, and then you can follow up with the second one. You can decapsulate your Artemia cysts, and there is more than one advantage to this. Now, decapsulating means removing the cysts. Now, hydrating the cysts can be considered decapsulating. There is a specific decapsulating procedure that I have that is available online. Decapsulating Artemia cysts is not a new thing. One, it removes the outer cyst so that you have very little to filter out at the end of cysts, okay? Secondly, what it does is it removes the cyst so that the Artemia, when it hatches, does not have to expend as much energy getting out of the cyst, and therefore has a better nutritional value and is just a stronger animal, okay? Now, yes, it is a bit more work, but the quality of the Artemia is what you're going for, not necessarily the saving in time. Now, there's the separd Artemia from Invade and things like that, which are obviously they're an iron coated cyst that you can then use magnets to pull out the unhatched and hatched and cyst casings and things like that. Brilliant, fantastic, but this allows you to use all different grades, okay, and mix them together, and also then remove them quite easily as well when you're harvesting them. But you still have the disadvantage in that they're going to be a lower nutrition value, and they're going to expend a lot more energy getting out of that cyst. Okay. Now, decapsulated freeze-dried cysts are a different thing. They are not viable. Okay. If you have decapsulated freeze-dried cysts from like a food that's in a jar, they're usually in 99% of cases not active. I don't know whether there's items out there that they're providing decapsulated cysts that can be hatched out now, but the fact of the matter is, yeah, generally speaking, they're going to be dead cysts. All the energy's still going to be inside them, they're just going to be viable, okay? Then, once they're harvested, you can filter them through a 200 micron screen, and that will, remove all the cysts and things like that. And they'll stay above the screen while the Artemia pass through. Great. Pretty much as easy as that. You probably want to rinse them off in fresh water at least. That usually is a really good idea to knock down bacteria and Vibrio and things like that. A lot of people will then, sterilise them by other means of iodine and things like that as well. I have experimented and will continue to experiment now with application of probiotics, not only to feed the Artemia and gut load them, but also to improve the water quality and knock down disease-causing organisms as well, because there's a lot of energy and a lot of food in there, and Artemia cysts are just filthy, bacterial-wise. Okay, that's why you need to be careful. So, how do we want to hatch them? Obviously, conical-based hatcher. We got that here. Thank you to Chris on Aqua Premium. So obviously the cysts will fall down. It's a lot easier to suspend them that way. You want your salinity at full strength seawater at least above 20 parts per thousand, but Artemia cysts these days, full strength seawater 35 to 36 parts per thousand is where you want to start. You want to make sure you have a pH in the range of 8 to 8.5. Okay, so if you're finding that your pH isn't as high as you want it to be, aerate it for a little bit before then using the water and adding the cysts. If it's still not high enough, then you might have to use something like sodium carbonate or something to get the pH up. But using a synthetic sea salt mix to full strength will also add alkalinity in there and maintain that pH where you want it to. Okay, especially if it's a high alkalinity salt mix. Temperature should be maintained between 28 and 30 degrees, at least above 25 if you want it to happen anywhere within a reasonable hatching time. Strong aeration, maintain strong aeration. Don't use small bubbles, okay? Small bubbles are going to get caught in their gills and it's going to kill them, so don't use that. Large bubbles, open air line, essentially. So you want to illuminate the container as well. You want to make sure that there's light on it, strong lighting, and if not, put them in a well-lit room or in direct sunlight. But just make sure they don't overheat. You should get your hatching within 24 hours that way, and then you can you can harvest them as needed. Okay. Decapsulation procedures, there's plenty of them out there, but essentially what you do is you use sodium hydroxide and household bleach. Then you can use sodium thiosulfide or a dechlorinator to dechlorinate them, and there's procedures there for decapsulating Artemia cysts, essentially. Just like any other organism, not only the environment that you put it in to hatch it matters, or to breed them, in regards to fish, matters, but also the ongoing water quality and biosecurity. Keep all those things in mind. You have to imagine that you have hundreds of thousands of cysts in a teaspoon or in a gram of Artemia cysts. So there is a lot of energy, a lot of waste, and a lot of bacteria that's still coming over on them, and a lot of bacteria in the water. So keep biosecurity in mind. Okay. Very quick rundown. I'm happy to send the information to anyone if they would like to get in contact with me. I've got a couple of different documents that I can send to you all. Again, thank you very much to Chris from Aqua Premium for the Artemia hatcher. I will be doing excuse me, I'll be doing short and long videos on all of those items, unboxing essentially like that. As you can see, I haven't even undone it yet. Okay, so unboxing, my honest review for using aquariums and aquaculture, and I don't think these things are very expensive, guys. Like, these things are like, I don't even know how much they are, but they're not expensive and they're really good quality. Like, I'm being a bit rough with that actually, and it's well built. I've had them out of the box before. They are really well put together. So we'll see what happens. Pull it apart, open it up, give you guys an honest review, and we'll see what happens from there. Thanks very much again, Aqua Premium, and we will get going with that testing. But for now, have a good Thursday. Try not to die from the heat wave. See ya!